On a barren, ruined world, 3 explorers from the sea-loving Aquasarian species follow a mysterious warning broadcast that speaks of destruction caused by a single human's forbidden love. As they uncover the dark past of a lost civilization and the tragic story behind the transmission, their own fragile bonds are tested. The story is tense and emotional, full of suspense and mystery, exploring themes of love, loss, and the heavy price of rebellion. The explorers must face both the dangers hidden in the ruins and their own fears as they decide whether this planet can become their new home, or if the warning still holds deadly truth. The wind hit Quasar's face like a hot slap. Grains of sand blew against his green skin, making it itch and sting. He blinked, but the desert sun was sharp, burning through his silver hair. This was not the ocean breeze he was used to. Back home, the water and mist cooled him. Here, the air was dry and harsh. His webbed feet slipped on the crumbled stones as he stepped down from their ship's ramp. Beside him, Vixa moved quickly. Her blue eyes scanned the cracked ruins around them. Her green skin shimmered under the sun. She held the small device that led them here, a tracker for the endless message repeating on every frequency, "Fear the Earthborn." That message haunted Quasar's thoughts. The world was silent, lifeless, save for the ghostly warning looping endlessly. No one had answered. No one survived. Inar followed behind, his silver hair catching the wind. He looked tired, his breaths heavy in the dry air. The 3 had come here together, though their bond had frayed over the years. Once, they had been a team full of hope and laughter. Now, they moved with caution, shadows between them. Vixa broke the silence. "One more hour," she said, voice low but firm. "The source is close." She didn't wait for an answer, already moving forward with sharp, sure steps. Quasar sighed and followed. He remembered when there had been 4 of them. Their 4th had chosen a quiet life long ago, leaving their trio worn and unsure. They had once explored strange worlds, found wonders, and returned with stories to tell. Now, they only searched for answers, and survival. The ruins stretched out like bones beneath the sun. Broken towers of metal and stone lay twisted in the sand. The silence pressed down on them, heavy and deep. Quasar felt it in his chest, the weight of loss not only on this world but inside himself. His hand brushed against the tracker. The device beeped softly, pulling them deeper into the shadows of fallen buildings. Vixa climbed a pile of rubble, holding the tracker high. The signal grows stronger. "We're almost there." Inar and Quasar exchanged a glance, the old fear rising inside them. Whatever had destroyed this place might still be waiting. The wind shifted, carrying a chill despite the heat. The trio drew closer, their steps slower, more careful. Then Vixa stopped. Her eyes locked on a dark shape rising from the desert, a black pyramid, perfect and untouched by time. Strange symbols covered its walls, glowing faintly in the harsh light. It was the source. "There," Vixa said, her voice a mix of fear and wonder. "The message comes from inside." Quasar swallowed hard. The pyramid's shadow stretched toward them, cold and vast. They stepped closer, boots crunching on broken glass and dust. At the base, a doorway stood open, no puzzles, no traps, just empty blackness waiting. "That's strange," Inar said quietly. "Usually, there's a test. Something to stop us." Vixa nodded. "An open door. That's never good." They looked at one another. Together, they stepped inside. The air was thick and cool. Their flashlights pierced the darkness, revealing smooth stone walls. The room stretched far beyond what the pyramid's outside promised, endless space filled with silence and shadows. Quasar's eyes caught something in the far corner. A large box, covered in carvings, and beside it, bones. The remains of a bipedal being lay scattered in dust. Time had bleached them white. Vixa held up the tracker. It beeped wildly. "The signal comes from there." Inar knelt by the bones. They died centuries ago. Maybe longer. Vixa lifted a skull, turning it slowly. They were intelligent. A species called the Zur, but they're extinct. Quasar's fingers found a small disk hidden among the dust. It glowed faintly. This must be the source. He pressed it, and a hologram flickered to life, a purple-skinned figure with yellow eyes and long black hair. The voice spoke with calm urgency. If you see this message, it means I am dead, and so is my people, the hologram said. I am Calera. This is our story. Quasar, Vixa, and Inar listened, caught in the tale of a world torn apart by love and rebellion. A human named Michelle had fallen from the stars, a prisoner who changed everything. Forbidden love between him and a Zera woman sparked a war that destroyed their civilization. The story was full of sorrow, passion, and tragedy. The old rules, the elders' control, the youth's fight for freedom, it all led to ruin. As the hologram faded, the three explorers felt the weight of history pressing down on them. The message was clear: fear the Earthborn, for they bring chaos. But was it only chaos? Quasar looked at Vixa, remembering the years lost between them, the walls built from silence and hurt. The past was gone, but maybe, just maybe, this ruined world held a chance for new beginnings. The three stood in the shadowed silence of the pyramid, the hologram's last words still echoing faintly in their minds. Quasar's fingers traced the carvings on the ancient coffin-like box. The symbols twisted like stories frozen in stone, images of love, war, and loss intertwined. The message they had followed for so long was more than just a warning. It was a story waiting to be uncovered. Vixa's scanner hummed softly, the steady beep a reminder that the signal was alive and strong here. We should open it, she said, voice low. See what's inside. Inar glanced at the black stone box. Are we ready? To disturb what has rested here so long? Quasar took a breath, his webbed hand steady. We owe them that much. To understand what really happened. Together, the three pushed against the heavy lid. It resisted at first, grinding slowly as ancient mechanisms came to life. Sweat trickled down their faces, muscles strained, but the lid shifted enough to reveal the truth. Inside lay two figures, preserved in crystal-clear material. They looked peaceful, fingers entwined as if still holding onto each other even in death. Michelle's brown hair was vivid, and Yalitha's violet skin seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. Simple clothes wrapped their forms, prisoners, not heroes. Vixa reached out and took Quasar's hand, their fingers intertwining like the lovers before them. The silent gesture said what words could not. Years of distance and silence melted for a moment between them. Quasar's other hand brushed Vixa's silver hair, a soft touch born from long ago. She leaned into it, a breath of warmth in the cold chamber. Inar smiled quietly, his sharp teeth shining in the flashlight glow. The warning was useless, Vixa whispered. This world has healed. The war's damage has faded. Life can return. They stepped back, hearts heavy but hopeful. Inar cleared his throat. I've made a decision, he said. I'm done running from the past. I want to go home, try to fix what I left behind. Quasar laughed softly. It took you long enough. She's been waiting for you. Inar nodded, eyes distant but sure. Outside, the sun burned less fiercely. The oppressive heat that had greeted them now softened, like the world itself was ready for a new start. The pyramid's dark shape loomed behind them, a silent monument to love and destruction. We came expecting to fear the Earthborn, Quasar said, shading his eyes. To find danger in their legacy. Vixa squeezed his hand. Instead, we found a love story that ended worlds. And maybe, Quasar smiled, it's a story that can save ours. They walked together toward the ruins, their shadows long in the fading light. The message they had heard for so long was more than just fear, it was a call to understand, to learn, and to remember. The desert wind whispered secrets as the three explorers prepared to bring the story home, a story of loss, hope, and the power of love to change everything. The journey back across the barren ruins was slow and quiet. Quasar, Vixa, and Inar walked side by side, their thoughts heavy with what they had discovered. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the cracked earth, and the wind carried a cooler promise as night approached. Vixa broke the silence first. Do you think anyone else will believe this story? That a single human and a Zera woman could bring a civilization to ruin? Inar shook his head. Many will dismiss it as myth or exaggeration. But the message is clear: love can ignite change, sometimes violent, sometimes beautiful. It's the truth of all worlds. Quasar looked at the desert horizon, feeling the weight of the past mingling with the hope for the future. It makes me think about us. About what we've lost, what we could still save. Their past had been tangled like the ruins beneath their feet. Vixa's sharp confidence masked the distance growing between them. Quasar's steady heart had softened with time but feared it might never heal completely. Inar carried his own regrets, silent and deep, his thoughts returning to the mate he had left behind. As darkness settled, the trio found shelter in the remains of a collapsed building. Around them, the stars began to shine with cold clarity. Quasar pulled a thin blanket from his pack and wrapped it around his shoulders. "We can't let this story end like theirs," he said quietly. "We have a chance to do better." Vixa's gaze softened. "Maybe this world can be more than ruins. Maybe it can be home." Inar's voice was low but certain. "We need to return with the truth. To share the warning, and the hope." The night air grew colder, but inside their small camp, a fragile warmth bloomed between them. The ghosts of the past did not disappear, but they could learn from them. They could rebuild. Before sleep claimed them, Quasar thought of the transmission's last words: "Fear the Earthborn, for they bring chaos wherever they go." But maybe chaos was only one side of the story. Maybe love, rebellion, and change were the true legacy of the Earthborn. Dawn broke with a soft pink glow over the desert ruins. Quasar woke to the faint hum of Vixa adjusting their gear. The heat had lessened overnight, and the air smelled of something new: hope, maybe, or change. They gathered their belongings and prepared to leave the shelter. Inar's eyes were clear now, filled with a quiet determination that hadn't been there before. As they walked toward their ship, the pyramid stood tall behind them, a silent guardian of history's lessons. "Do you think anyone will understand what we found?" Vixa asked, her voice steady but uncertain. "We have to try," Quasar replied. "This story isn't just about destruction. It's about love, sacrifice, and the cost of freedom." Inar nodded. "And about the dangers of holding on to power too tightly. The elders lost everything because they couldn't change." The ship's engines hummed softly as they boarded. Inside, the cool air was a sharp contrast to the desert heat. Quasar activated the comm system, preparing to send their report to the Federation. But before he could speak, Vixa touched his arm. "Wait. There's something else here." She pointed to the holographic disc still glowing softly on the table. Quasar stared at it. The message was ancient, but its power was alive. "Maybe this is a warning not just for this planet," Quasar said, "but for all who hear it." As the ship lifted off, leaving the ruined world behind, the three explorers shared a silent promise. They would carry this story forward, a tale of love that changed a civilization, a warning of what happens when fear wins, and a hope that the future could be different. The stars stretched before them, endless and bright. Somewhere out there, humanity waited. And with them, the chance to write a new story. The ship glided through the endless stars, a small beacon in the vast dark. Quasar, Vixa, and Inar gathered in the dim light of the command room, the holographic disc still glowing softly between them. The story of the Zera and the human Michelle had changed something inside each of them. Vixa broke the silence. "We thought we feared the Earthborn. But maybe they are more than destruction. Maybe they bring hope, too. Inar nodded slowly. Their chaos comes from love, from fighting for freedom. We must remember that, especially in our own world. Quasar's gaze was steady. Our colony will hear this. They'll learn from the past. From the price paid by those who couldn't change. He reached out, holding Vixa's hand again, the warmth a quiet promise. The years of silence between them felt lighter, as if the story had healed some old wounds. The disk's light flickered once more, then faded, but its message remained. A warning, a lament, and a hope. As the ship moved closer to their new home, the ruined world behind them became a distant memory, a place where love had burned bright, and a civilization had fallen. But the story they carried was alive. It was a reminder that even in the darkest times, love could inspire revolutions, spark change, and light the way forward. And as they prepared to step onto their new world, Quasar knew this was only the beginning. The Earthborn legacy was not one to fear, it was one to understand, embrace, and carry on.